We're gonna have Nick, and then I got somebody new to the stage coming up after that. All right, let's get it.
Good evening, Girani. Tonight I'm going to tell some stories about learning how to fly. In 1975, my husband and I went to Argentina for a year. He decided he wanted to learn how to fly. I decided I wanted to learn how to land. All right, just in case. So I did my solo, and I learned how to land. You practice doing touch and goes to learn how to land and take off. But there were a couple of other things milestones along the way in learning how to fly. One of them is cross country. You have to file a flight plan that includes at least 2 refueling stops along the way. So I decided to fly from Buenos Aires to the edge of Argentina, the edge almost to Chile, where there was a ski resort. Filed my flight plan, flying along. It's time for my first refueling stop, and I realized it's been a little too long. So I contacted the local air traffic controller, and I said, I think I missed my refueling stop. And he said, yeah, we saw you go by about 5 minutes ago. Tell you what we're going to do. Now, gasoline was rationed at the time in Argentina. You couldn't just sit down anywhere. He said, we're going to open up an Air Force base for you. They're expecting you. This is your heading. Go ahead and land at the Air Force Base and get fuel and be on your way. And so that's what they did, and that's what I did. So I went to the resort, landed, went home, came home the next day. So that was cross country. So the second story is about microphone. Now in Argentina, or in any time you're learning to fly, of course you're talking to the air traffic controller on a pretty regular basis. And I thought I really need to understand what it feels like to be on the mic from the other end. So I'm going to go up to the air traffic control tower and watch them do their work. So I'll understand what it's like when I'm coming in, what they're doing in order to get ready for me to come in. So I did this for a while. And then at some point the air traffic controller turned to me and said, you want to take the mic? Oh, sure. So there was a plane coming in. So he gave me the wind direction and the heading, the wind direction and the wind speed of the wind. He was reading the instruments, and so I told the pilot what the wind speed was and the wind direction was. And then the wind direction changed. Now the air traffic controller who was watching the instruments tried to tell me this, but of course he was speaking in Spanish. I was translating it into my head, and I couldn't get it into English and back into Spanish in time, so the plane landed. Now this plane was what they call a tail dragger. It's a small plane that has a wheel underneath the tail. And one of the characteristics of a tail dragger is it has to head into the wind when it's landing. And because I'd given the pilot the wrong wind direction, the plane acted like a weather vane and almost blew him off the runway. He had to wrestle it back onto the runway. So I turned to the air traffic controller and I said, you must let me apologize to that pilot for not telling him the new wind direction in time. And he said, well, that pilot is your husband. Maybe that's why he gave me the mic. I expect you all will have a longer conversation at home. And sure enough, he said, there wasn't a female air traffic controller. I didn't know it was you. Yeah, sorry. So the third story is license. So at the end of at least 40 hours of flying, you do a checkout flight. You take off and land. The instructor puts the plane into a stall and you have to recover, cuts the engine and you have to recover. And so I had done all that and I was on my way back to my home airport. And just as I got to the airport, I realized I was coming in too high, which meant I really needed to go around again and land. But at that very moment, my radio went out. And so I turned to the instructor, I said, what can I do? I need to ask permission from the air traffic control tower to go around again. He said, he can see you. He knows you can't land. Go ahead and go around again and land. So that's what we did. So a couple months later, with 60 hours of flight time under my belt and a bright, shiny new pilot's license, we came home. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Carol Coven. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube. Carol like Christmas Carol, Coven like C as in Charlie, Oscar, Victor, India, November, Coven. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carol Coven.